World War II. Crazy shit, man. Crazy shit. Hello once again, watchers of good movies. My name is Nick Pell, and this is once again coming from my college dorm room. Now today I'm going to be talking about the film Fury. This is a film mainly starring Brad Pitt, and it is about World War II. The film takes place in April of 1945, right at the very end of the war. And that is partly why this film is such a tragedy, is because a lot of things happen to certain people, and just from history and having a general knowledge, hopefully, of history, that if the war had ended just a few months earlier, if Germany had surrendered a few months earlier, a lot of these deaths could have been avoided. But it is what it is, and we have our movie. Like I said, Brad Pitt is the main star of the film. He is the commander of these 5 individuals who are riding in this one tank. He has been involved in the war for a number of years. He was in Africa, then he went to France and Italy and did a bunch of stuff in the war effort, and now he's here and he's in Germany, and he is under the assumption that the war will end fairly soon, but there's a lot of killing that needs to happen. He's very hardened by war, and he is very good at getting people to do what needs to be done in order to save lives and come out surviving from this whole thing. Logan Lerman is the second main character. He's the person who we are supposed to relate to in this film, and I feel like 90% of people will definitely relate to this character. I know that I would probably be in a very similar situation as this guy. Logan Lerman's character, he comes into the army very fresh. He's only been in it for 8 weeks compared to the years that the rest of his team has been in it. And he is very, very against killing. He is a very right and wrong person at the beginning, and he does not want to take a life if he doesn't have to, and at one point he wants to just be killed instead, and he really has to learn how to change his ways and change them quickly in order to survive and not get his team killed. Logan Lerman does a fantastic job in this movie, by the way. He is surrounded by a bunch of great actors, and that boosts his performance even more, but he just goes out of his way to just emphasize the horror of war and the reaction that most people would have, at least in this time where we haven't had a world war in almost 70 years, compared to the 20-year gap between the two back then. It's a time that many people will not know in this day and age. Shia LaBeouf, he is also in this film. I have not really seen him at all that much since the Transformers films finished, but he is back into the acting game, and he does a really good job as well. He is kind of the smarter guy. He's very religious. He is the one who kind of gives last rites to people, and he's still killing people and everything, but he's very religious, and he helps people that are dying from a gunshot or something just like feel safe and secure, and I really like seeing that about his character. Michael Pena, he is also in this film. I don't really know him as an actor very well, but he does a really nice job in the role. He's the other gunner besides Logan Lerman's character, and he kind of helps him out a little bit, but also shows him things need to get done, how they need to get done, and he's kind of the mentor in that regard. And lastly, John Bernthal from the Walking Dead series, he is in this film as well, and he does a really good job. He is an asshole in all regards, and this is partly from everything that he and the rest of his team have seen in the years that they've been fighting this war. And he is just the bigger asshole of the 3 of them. He does a really good job in his role as well. So like you've probably been able to guess, this movie is very, very realistic in my opinion. I have no experience with war, like real war, in any regard, but from what I could tell, this was a very realistic look at it. There's a lot of death, there's a lot of blood and gore, so if you're not someone who's comfortable with that stuff, obviously do not go see this movie, because you will probably want to walk out after the first 5 minutes. It is that bad. But I enjoyed that effect because it made it just all the more realistic for me, including just the numerous deaths which happen, and Logan Lerman's performance mainly, and all these factors combined made the experience a lot more realistic than it could have otherwise been. The action scenes in this movie are also phenomenal. They are really, really intense and high-powered. I would have liked to see maybe a few more towards the beginning, but towards the end, it just blows everything out of the water with the final fight that happens towards the end of this film. and it's just a very cool scene to watch. All these action scenes are very neat, how they're choreographed and everything in that regard, and it just looks really, really good. And then the music is the last thing I'm going to mention. The music in this film really helps to emphasize a lot of the main scenes. The big battle scenes are the really emotional scenes. There's a lot of really emotional scenes in this film, which is kind of a given that it's a war film. But Stephen Price, who's the composer for this film, he does a really nice job using certain sounds to help to emphasize or elevate certain dramatic scenes or emotional scenes, so he did good too. My only real gripes with the movie, and they're kind of nitpicky, and they're only things that I just kind of noticed as they happen, were more towards the end. There's a scene where there's a battle that starts, and it starts during the day, or at least late afternoon, and then like a scene later, it's nighttime, like 9 o'clock, 10 midnight-ish nighttime, and so that kind of threw me out. It's like, were they doing this fight for a couple hours and now we're seeing that afterwards? Or does the sun change quicker in Germany that I don't know about for some reason? So that's one thing which kind of took me out of the film. And then there's also not really an afterward, like an explanation of what happens to the survivors after the end of the film, which is something I always like to see if it's based on a true story. As far as I know, this is based on a true story. Feel free to correct me in the comments, but I found the movie really, really moving and really intriguing, and I really, really found myself enjoying it. I was just really, really invested in the film for its entire 2.5-hour time span, and it did not seem slow at all at any points. Every scene was crucial for either some character development or just to show the movie and the plot progressing in terms of fights and everything which happens in tank warfare. I also heard that this whole cast, like the main cast, they all like experienced boot camp and slept in one tent together for like the whole training period to get themselves ready for the mindset of war, which I think is really, really cool and a great way to bond as a cast and really make the film a lot more believable, which it was, and I think it helped to build up these performances a lot more than they could have maybe otherwise been. So, I'll leave you with that. I definitely enjoyed Fury. I definitely recommend going to see it if it is your kind of movie. It is a war movie, it is very violent, and it's very bloody and gory, and there is a lot of language. So if that's not your thing, probably don't see this and go see Book of Life instead. But if this is something that you would be interested in, definitely go check it out. It's well worth your time, and I highly recommend seeing it. That's my review. Let me know what you thought of Fury down in the comments down below. Did you like it as much as I did? Did you despise it more than I did? Let me know. Like, favorite, comment, and subscribe once again if you so choose. I'd appreciate it immensely. And as always, my good people, my name is Nick Pell, and once again, keep on watching.